After heavily hyping the Vince Russo shoot interview since last Monday, including throughout the Thunder broadcast 2 days later, WCW ended up not airing the interview, claiming that management wouldn't allow it to air for legal reasons due to some of Russo's comments on the Hogan Bash at the Beach incident, including saying that he will quit the company if Hogan returns and that he was being sued by him due to the content of his Bash promo, with the company after not airing the original interview hyping another Russo interview for tonight done earlier in the day to replace it and edit out some of the comments that couldn't be shown last week. With very few people in the company itself know what is work or shoot recently, especially with the Russo vs Hogan and Goldberg vs Nash angles, Russo and Goldberg's creative issues escalated in the past few weeks, including a heated confrontation when Russo laid out a plan for Goldberg to put over Booker on Nitro a few weeks back, had a meeting with Brad Siegel in Atlanta on Wednesday to try to sort out the issue with Goldberg, in the meeting reportedly asked to do the job at the pay-per-view on Sunday to either Nash or Steiner and quit the company the next night to play off the shoot build-up to the match, with Goldberg after having several disputes with WCW management over the past year and now more aware of the political game of the business, reportedly suspicious regarding the angle with him potentially being sabotaged on purpose to lessen his value, coming after talks of WCW potentially cutting or buying out some of the big-name contracts on the roster to try to balance the books, but with no realistic chance of Goldberg, who has the biggest contract in the company and 3 more years on his deal signed last year, being on the list due to the company not only having to pay most if not all his 3 remaining years in full, but will push the company further away from the WWF, with Goldberg, who on a level playing field is still one of the top 3 biggest stars in the business. Russo's interview was placed in the final quarter of the unopposed hour, doing a 2.9 rating, starting with him addressing the original interview that was pulled from Thunder, saying that he said some things he currently legally can't, but in time will tell the full story of what happened at Bash at the Beach, talking about his jump from the WWF in September, saying that he felt the company peaked after drawing all-time record ratings at the 7 rating range, which they didn't top in the past 10 months since he left, saying that he saw a great challenge in WCW, which during his first run brought the rating from a 2.8 to a 3.4 before being sabotaged by individuals who only cared about themselves, which they now eliminated, and have guys like Booker ready to take the company to a new direction, responding to Goldberg's claim saying that he doesn't like some of the people he works for, telling him that he also doesn't like some of the people that works for him, but the finish of the match on Sunday will be about what's best for the company. Nitro crossed over 9 p.m. with the finish of the Sting vs. Scott Steiner match, ending in a 4-way brawl with Nash, Sting and the Steiners to set up a tag match for the main event, followed by the entrances and start of a Booker vs. Lance Storm WCW title match, and the quarter which went against Rock. Kicking off Raw from the Garden started with one of the lowest opening segments of the year with a 2 rating. Madison Square Garden was sold out for the 14th consecutive time in the past 2 years as the company continued its hot streak in New York, with Rock opening Raw to a massive ovation, calling out Benoit and Shane after being attacked and pinned by Benoit on SmackDown, telling him to forget about SummerSlam, challenging him for a WWF title shot tonight, bringing them out to accept the challenge and set up Rock vs. Benoit for the belt later tonight in the fully loaded pay-per-view main event rematch, opening Raw with a 5.1 rating. After starting lower than usual, Nitro had its biggest viewership spike of the night between 9:15 to 9:30, with Booker vs. Lance Storm for the belt gaining over 800,000 viewers to what would be the peak of the night, 2.6 rating, ending up with Booker going over to retain 6 days from the Jarrett title match, with Storm set to go into the New Blood Rising pay-per-view with 3 belts as a big babyface on the night in front of the Canadian crowd, in a quarter which also featured Kidman's segment with a Tory Appreciation Night ending in a swerve of him showing a birthday party tape. Raw's second quarter saw a Rikishi vs X-Pac match going 3 minutes with Road Dogg watching on the monitor to build to the eventual DX match, and mainly the continuation of the Hunter-Stephanie angle program with 3 backstage segments in the quarter, first with Hunter arriving to the Garden before going to Foley to ask for a title shot at SummerSlam to find out that Angle got him first. Nitro had a commercial-heavy quarter next with a short mud pit segment in the middle along with the entrances and start of a Mike Awesome vs Jeff Jarrett match, which saw the show dropping from the 2.6 high of the previous quarter to a show low 1.9 rating, while Raw picked up all these viewers and more with an over 1.2 million viewers gained to a 5.9 rating for a Dudleys vs Right to Censor tag match going 3 minutes, with Richards continuing to mock the PTC, copying their complaints almost word for word in his heel promo, along with 2 backstage segments of Just Joe playing the Howard Finkel role, stirring things up between Hunter and Angle about what the locker room say about the other. The finish of the Awesome vs Jarrett match, followed by the main event tag entrances, opened Nitro's final quarter, with the Sting and Nash vs Steiner's tag match jumping around 500,000 viewers but only rebounding to a 2.2 rating, as the show ended exactly at 10 p.m. with no chance to pick up viewers who are used to tune in for the finish in the overrun, going 7 minutes with Goldberg running in for the finish in a stare-down with Nash before Steiner attacked him from behind to save the first Goldberg-Nash confrontation for the pay-per-view. Raw had a 6-man tag match of Eddie and Too Cool vs Venis, Test and Albert going against the Nitro main event, with Raw continuing to climb, entering the 6 rating range to close the first hour, followed by Stephanie coming out to apologize to Hunter in a promo crossing over 10 p.m. with the second half of it which saw Kurt Angle coming out going unopposed with no Nitro overrun, jumping into the 7 rating range, continuing the Triangle program on the night after a show-long Angle on SmackDown Thursday built around it, with both Angle and Hunter going to Foley to ask for a title shot at SummerSlam, with Foley booking the Hunter vs Angle match indirectly built since December '99 in a #1 contender match for a shot at either Rock or Benoit, with their title match coming next. After an all-time great match at the fully loaded pay-per-view main event, Rock and Benoit went 8 minutes in the rematch at the Garden to continue their strong series of matches after showing instant chemistry since their first singles match in February, with the company putting on the Rock vs Benoit rematch as a special attraction for the Big Raw show from MSG to signal on a different direction, after at one point there was talk of a Rock-Benoit rematch for the SummerSlam main event, with the finish seeing Rock have the match won until Shane's interference to lead to Jericho's return and Rock going over to retain, with the match in a quarter which also included the second half of the Angle Hunter Foley Stephanie segment jumped over 1.2 million viewers to the peak quarter of the night 7.1 rating. After being officially announced to appear last week with him publicly invited by the Republican presidential candidate, Rock made a major crossover appearance as one of the headliners at the Republican National Convention on August 2nd, becoming the first wrestler in history to speak at a political convention, with Rock saying that he's representing and encouraging WWF viewers to vote in the upcoming election, while also having several high-profile interviews, including a back-and-forth with PTC representative which aired on CNN, with the PTC going as far as sending a tape of edgy aspects of the WWF product to try to get Rock's appearance cancelled, with Rock countering the laughable claims from the PTC while bringing up the viewership numbers of the WWF, noting that 22 million viewers watch WWF programming on a weekly basis, including 14 million eligible voters, while saying that the content on their shows is tame compared to other programs on cable and broadcast television, telling anyone who don't like the WWF shows to turn it off to another channel. Raw had two angles in the next 30 minutes building to SummerSlam matches, first with Taz calling out JR for his comments before being attacked by Lawler, followed by a Big Show Edge and Christian vs. Acolytes and Matt Hardy six-man tag match, which saw the return of Undertaker to take out Show and Shane, ending up with Taker throwing Show off the stage, with the status of the originally planned Taker vs. Show SummerSlam match in question, with Show's physical condition again raising concerns in the WWF, with him set to be sent to the company's developmental territory or VW for additional training. Raw's main event entrances took place minutes from 11 p.m., including Rock coming out for commentary to find out his SummerSlam opponent, as after the last two Raw main events with Rock and tag matches drew near record-level viewership, Raw didn't reach that level again but still picked up over 1.1 million viewers to a peak 7.8 rating for the Angle Hunter Jericho three-way match, going 7 minutes in the overrun, ending up with Hunter and Angle pinning Jericho at the same time to set up a three-way match for the SummerSlam main event, coming after a Rock Angle Hunter three-way match on Raw 2 months ago did huge numbers, this time with the added triangle storyline of the Angle Hunter Stephanie feud, with Rock after the finish laying out all three involved with 3 rock bottoms to close the show.